How's it going, everybody? Mixed Paragraph here. Hello, hello, hello. Today, we are going to witness history being made. That's right. We're going to be looking at something that they said couldn't be done until one mad lad came in and did it. We're going to be looking at the world's first Dauntless Fanfic. I'm good. Big shout out to user rainycakes up here, rainycakee, for making this fanfiction. They should not be sorry about this. This is a first. This is big for Dauntless. It gets fanfiction. It's finally made it. Phoenix Labs, you've made it. I will be laughing at this a little bit, but this is truly something that I'm excited for, and I can't give enough praise to rainycakee for doing this. So go show rainycakee some love. I'll leave every single one of these as a link in the description. Please go upvote them. This is golden stuff. Mwah. All right, let's start. Chapter 1. It was a day like any other. Slayer woke up, got ready, and went to school. As soon as they entered, Rezakiri greeted them with a warm smile on his face. He looked as radiant as ever. Carefully ironed clothes, the full school uniform. Normally, other students wouldn't wear a tie or a vest. His neatly combed short white hair, his bright blue eyes. He also had very pale skin. Slayer sat next to Rezakiri as the class started. Reza had the highest grades in the school. Slayer wasn't that bad. At least, they weren't failing. And that was enough for them. Reza has been helping them with their lessons lately, which was great and all, but Slayer had other reasons for their private lessons. Spending some alone time with Reza has been great, they have to admit. Focusing on the lessons was a bit hard when Reza's beautiful presence was so blinding. Slayer wasn't sure if they would just tell Reza their feelings or not. Maybe not yet, they thought as the day ended. Going home, Slayer was thinking of Reza, but a weird sound distracted them. It came from an alleyway close by. They saw something purple, but it disappeared the next moment. Not sure, Slayer walked inside the alleyway. Then they saw Shroud. He was waiting, leaned next to a wall. Slayer and Shroud had talked before, but they were nowhere near close with each other. Most people would say that they think Shroud looks scary, intimidating, but Slayer had other opinions. Slayer had to admit, even though they liked Reza, the scary, mysterious look was rather attractive. His longer dark hair, clean but messy clothes, and the famous bright purple eyes. Some say they have seen them glow in the dark, but that was impossible, right? Slayer thought to themselves. Shroud said, I was expecting someone else, Slayer. You should probably go home before he comes. Slayer asked who he was waiting for. They were a little scared, but he couldn't stop their curiosity. Shroud looked up. Here he is. Slayer turned around to see Nasher. He wasn't the most good-looking or the smartest, but everyone would admit that he was strong. Nasher said, "Brought your lover, too." Hold on. "Brought your lover, too. Do you really want to see them get beaten?" Slayer didn't notice that Shroud walked in front of him. He stood between them and Nasher. "They have nothing to do with this. Can we handle this some other time?" Shroud sounded bored, even though tension was as high as possible. Nasher immediately said, "Are you really that scared? I'll tell you what, if you don't fight, I'll beat your partner over there. You wouldn't want that, would you?" Shroud suddenly ran forward to hit Nasher. They started fighting. Slayer didn't know what to do, and even before they could decide, the fight was over. Shroud was sitting on top of Nasher, punching him. Slayer ran to him and stopped Shroud. Slayer thought, these are the glowing purple eyes everyone was talking about. Shroud stopped and looked at Slayer's eyes. Sorry, I went too far again, didn't mean to scare you." His words were sincere. Nasher got up and ran away without saying anything. Shroud said, "I can drop you to your house if you want. It's the best I can do after making you witness all that." Even though Slayer tried to decline Shroud, he insisted. Slayer agreed at the end. "Here." Shroud sat in his motorcycle. "You can sit in the back." Then he slowly added, "Don't forget to hold on." Slayer sat and wrapped their arms around Shroud as they rode home. After saying goodbyes, Slayer went in and laid down on their bed. Why am I even confused? I really liked Reza. This changes nothing, they thought, but they dreamt of Shroud that night. There's 2 more chapters. We're in this for the long haul. I'm not even apologizing this time. Chapter 2. The next lesson was biology. Before Mrs. Ayla showed up, Slayer looked around the classroom. Shroud wasn't in class. This was normal, though. He would usually skip classes or come in late. Then Slayer turned their head to Rizikiri. He was talking to his close friends, Valimir and Karabak. Slayer talked to them before. Slayer's opinion about them was a little complicated. Slayer thought Karabak was a lot more annoying before, but he slowly became better. Valimir, on the other hand, they didn't understand why Reza would hang out with someone like that. They were annoying. The whole school agreed that Valimir was the most annoying person in the school. They would have to ask Reza about that one in their private lessons. Shroud had a small friend group as well. They would attend class, though, unlike Shroud. They were Shrike and Scrave. Shrike was a likable guy, friendly and protective. He personally had a lot of admirers as well. Scrave, on the other hand, he was cold to everyone, to even Shroud. He wouldn't talk to anyone first. Slayer had no idea how Shroud kept him in the friend group. Slayer walked up to Shrike and asked if he knew where Shroud was. "Oh, you know Shroud? He's probably somewhere doing something he's not supposed to do. Why do you ask?" said Shrike with a friendly tone. No, that wasn't friendly. Slayer became red all of a sudden. They said it was nothing and went back to their seat. Reza was waiting for Slayer there. "You shouldn't talk to them. They're dangerous people," said Reza with a serious voice. Miss Zayla entered the room and started the lesson. Zayla's married? After class, it was time for some private lessons with Reza. This always made Slayer excited. Being alone with Reza would make their heart beat faster. After studying for a little while, they took a break. This was a perfect time to ask, Slayer thought. They asked why Reza hangs out with Valimir. Reza smiled. "I know everyone thinks he's annoying, but I know he can be much better. I see a potential of a wonderful person in him. I'm trying to make the potential into reality. Maybe it's pointless to try that, but I have to try." Slayer's heart skipped a beat. What a wonderful guy, they thought. They never knew someone as good as him. He was like an angel, but real. Looked as pretty as an angel, too. "Is there something on my face?" Reza asked, confused. Slayer didn't notice, but they were looking at his face for far too long. Slayer's face became red, and they said they should go back to studying. Slayer was a little late to leave school. They wanted to finish their homework before going home. After finishing it, they got out and saw Shroud waiting outside the school. Slayer asked what he was doing here. It felt like you would need someone to drop you at home. "Could be dangerous going home alone," Shroud said, pointing at his motorcycle. Slayer agreed without thinking. Going home with Shroud again made them a lot more excited than they thought it would. Both of them got on the motorcycle and Slayer wrapped their arms around Shroud. "Hold on tight," Shroud said before starting the motor... Oh my god, I need a second. "Hold on tight," Shroud said before starting the motorcycle. After some minutes, Shroud asked, "Are you having fun, or is this scary for you?" Slayer had to admit, it was very nice holding on to them while they ride together. They, of course, didn't say that out loud. Instead, they just said that it was very fun. "We can go around a little instead of going straight home if you want," said Shroud. Slayer wasn't sure, but they couldn't say no. They drove around for a while. Shroud playfully said, "You know, my house is close by. What about we go there instead?" No, hold on. "What about we go there instead?" Nailed it. He smirked. Slayer got red. This was too much for them. Slayer was flustered, but managed to decline the offer without stuttering. "I was only kidding. No need to get all serious," Shroud said. "Half kidding," added a second later. Slayer finally got home. They thanked Shroud and entered the house. A lot of things were happening, and they all got Slayer more and more confused. In one hand, Rizikiri was just so perfect. A relationship with him would be like a dream. On the other hand, Shroud was so exciting. If they were together, every day would feel like an adventure. Slayer couldn't sleep that night. Okay, hold on. We got one more. We got one more. This is history, god damn it. Chapter 3. Finally, the class ended. Slayer looked for Rizikiri. They thought they could ask to eat together today. They looked around the class, but Rizikiri was nowhere to be seen. Only Scrave was in the classroom, as always. He would usually just stay in the classroom on breaks. Slayer walked up to him. He didn't even look up. Slayer asked if he knows where Rizikiri is. He finally looked up. He always had this "why are you talking to me right now" look on his face. "I heard Nasher wanted to talk to him. I think they're at the back of the school," he said. His voice was hostile. Slayer thought Scrave treated everyone like this, but it felt like he didn't like them a little bit more than everyone else. It was not time to think about this, though. Why would Nasher want to talk to Reza? Slayer ran outside. Nasher wasn't the most calm person out there. Slayer got worried that maybe Nasher would hurt Reza. When Slayer got there, they were still talking. Luckily, they didn't notice Slayer listening to them. "Why can't you just help me out for this once?" asked Nasher. It sounded as if he was getting more and more angry. I told you, I don't want to help you or the others anymore. Reza responded calmly. Nasher shouted, "You can't just leave us!" Reza calmly replied again, "I already did." Nasher's face got red with anger. "If you're not one of us, I can treat you like all the rest." Nasher swung his punch, targeting Reza's face. If this punch hit, it would knock out almost anyone. Slayer was almost going to jump in, but then they couldn't see anything. A flash blinded Slayer and Nasher. Slayer heard a painful scream, and their vision returned. Slayer saw Nasher on the ground holding his wrist. Reza looked down at Nasher and said, "Did you forget who I am, or are you really that stupid?" Nasher was in pain. He could barely talk. You broke my... He was holding his wrist. Nasher slowly got back up and walked a couple steps back. Torg will hear about this, then you'll be sorry, Nasher said as he walked away. Slayer thought they should probably get out of here before Reza sees them. As she went back to class, she didn't even know what to think. Were they scared of Reza? But this was the same person who was loving and caring, helping Slayer at every chance. They never saw Reza being this merciless before. They had to talk about this with someone. Slayer thought it had to be either Valimir or Karabak, and Slayer also wanted to avoid Valimir's presence as much as possible, so Karabak was the obvious choice. And break was about to end, so Slayer decided that this conversation was for another time. Reza entered the classroom while Slayer was sitting at the desk. He gave a warm smile to Slayer and sat next to him. Slayer couldn't understand. How could this person be the same as the one outside? They were just way too different. At that point, Middleman entered the classroom and immediately started the lesson on mathematics. He would never waste time and would leave the classroom as soon as the lesson was ended. After the lesson, Slayer took Karabak outside. Karabak looked confused but agreed. Slayer asked if him and Reza are close. "Of course! He's like a big..." What the fuck is this, Karabak's voice? "Of course! He's like a big brother to me!" He gave a childlike smile. "I really look up to him, you know?" He looked kind of embarrassed, but it was cute. Slayer asked if he knew what kind of relationship Torg and Nasher have with Reza. Karabak froze for a second. That confirmed he had to know something. "I better get back to class." He tried to slowly leave, but Slayer held him. Karabak was a weak kid. He was famous for breaking his arms and legs a lot. Famous for breaking his arms and legs a lot. Slayer firmly grabbed his recently healed left arm and gave a scary look. They were copying Reza without even realizing. Karabak got scared. Okay, I'll tell you what I know, but you can't talk about this with anyone, especially not Reza, okay?" Slayer nodded. Okay, that's the 3 chapters we have right now. That is legendary, dude. Legendary. rainycakee, I respect you, bro. I really would like to see more of these. Not the worst fanfic I've read. I mean, like, I read Homestuck fanfiction. That was... Man, I got PTSD from that shit. Do you think Riftstalker's murder palace is the fuck palace in this fanfic?